Okay, so asymmetric information can also exist when the buyer has more information than the seller. So a good example for that would be when you're looking at health insurance. If you're looking to take out health insurance, you know more about your state of your health than the person that's giving you the health insurance or the company that's the insurance provider. So you know the chance, that more of the chance of the probability that you're going to make a claim. You know what your current health is like, and therefore there's an asymmetric information in the amount of information both parties have. So they don't know if you smoke, if you eat unhealthy foods, etc., etc. But unfortunately, in the past, with health insurance, all people that were insured would pay a similar premium. So each person would pay a similar amount, which effectively meant that the healthy people were subsidising the unhealthy people every time they had made a claim. So the behaviour of the unhealthy people, this means the unhealthy behaviour of the unhealthy people once they have insurance, and that's called moral hazard when people start to act in a different way once they have health insurance because they know they're covered from the risk. That led to the premiums increasing for healthy people. That led to higher premiums than if the companies had the full information about each particular client. So what happened was that the premiums went up because the unhealthy people had a greater risk of claiming because they were taking more risk with their health. And then because the premiums were too high and the companies didn't have enough information to price it accurately, some healthy citizens choose not to purchase health insurance due to the higher premiums. And that's what we refer to as the adverse selection in this case. Because of the moral hazard from the people acting in an unhealthy manner, that's led to safe or healthier people not getting health insurance, which has led to an inefficient allocation of resources because then they're not covered if they get sick. So there's an under-allocation of resources to the health insurance market because healthy people aren't getting insured because the premiums are too high because unhealthy people are choosing to become more unhealthy once they're covered. Same thing with car insurance. Car insurance is too expensive because risky drivers increase the premiums. So every time there's a claim made, they have to raise the premiums to cover their costs. So safe drivers end up having to pay too much. So people who know they have a higher risk of claiming than the average of the group will buy the insurance, whereas those with a below average risk might feel that it's not worth it, and therefore they won't buy health insurance. So health insurance premiums should be higher for risky people than not so risky people, but the problem is putting the premium up won't solve any problems if we don't have enough information, because all putting the premium up will do will mean that it's more unattractive for safe drivers. So the idea is that when people buy car insurance, they become not as safe on the road. That leads to more claims, and therefore car insurance premiums go up. So your safer drivers don't get the premiums anymore, don't get insurance. Therefore, they're not covered when they are in a car accident, and that's the adverse selection. So there's therefore less good drivers choose car insurance from what's optimal from society's point of view. So if you have a look at this little bit of breakdown of that question, when a consumer purchases car insurance, what does the buyer know that the seller doesn't? They know how they're likely to drive in the future and how risky they are. This can lead to moral hazard because once insured, drivers may start driving in a more risky fashion, knowing that their costs are covered in the event of a crash. This can lead to more accidents, and it's inefficient because there's more accidents within society and it costs the insurance companies millions of dollars. This also has negative ramifications for other drivers because not only are they more likely to be in crashes because of the risky drivers, but the car companies are likely to raise their premiums, and then unsafe drivers are unlikely to be covered in the event of an accident. Who is likely to purchase car insurance? Only risky drivers will pay for car insurance, and it is no longer financially worth it for safe drivers. Safe drivers therefore select adversely, and they will no longer be covered in the event of a crash, which could hurt their material living standards because they have to pay out significantly. So moral hazard, which is what we talked about in the last two slides, is when economic agents adjust their behaviour to one that is less efficient from society's point of view. So when you get health insurance, you know you're covered, you're more likely to take risks. When you start working, for example, for a firm, you may decide that if you get a fixed contract and they're not observing your behaviour, that you'll feel safe slacking off, which is not in the best for society's point of view. It generally occurs when people change their behaviour as a result of getting insurance as they insure against risk. So e.g. not locking your car because you have car insurance, driving faster once you have car insurance. It leads to a change in incentives because of a change in who has to pay the bill, and an over-allocation of resources towards repairs, and a decrease in the efficiency of resource allocation. It leads to reduced technical efficiency in the case of workers not working as hard, can lead to higher prices and higher premiums, and therefore doesn't maximise society's utility. So just an example, it's important that you can establish the link between asymmetric information, moral hazard, and adverse selection. So asymmetric information, for example, insurance companies do not know how people will drive. That's the asymmetric information in that example. Therefore, the moral hazard is drivers are more likely to take risks once they have the insurance, which hurts efficiency because there's more crashes. And then that leads to adverse selection because safe drivers do not buy car insurance because it's too costly. So the premiums have increased because of the risky drivers and the moral hazard, and therefore they don't purchase car insurance. It is the same with health insurance. Risky people claim insurance premiums and healthy people don't buy insurance. Asymmetric information can also occur in factor markets. So the main factor market we're looking at is the labour market or in the workplace. So for example, those offering their labour services, so looking for jobs, know more about their habits and their skills than those hiring them. So employers can often make wrong decisions when hiring people because they don't have complete information about the employees. Also, employees who are not constantly monitored or whose performance is not easily measured may not work as hard as their employer would like them to. So once you get the job, you may slack off because it doesn't affect your pay. When an employer hires a new employee, it is generally the case that the employer will know more about their productivity and skills in the area than the hirer. So there's a concept called the principal and agent problem, where employees act inefficiently once they are hired due to the employer possessing a lack of information. That should say employer, sorry. And that just basically relates when the interests of the employee and the employer don't mix together, and that leads to reduced technical efficiency. It can also lead to adverse selection because you hire the wrong people, and moral hazard because people start to act in a way that's not in the best interest of society or not efficient once you change their preferences. Okay. Moral hazard also occurred with the banks during the GFC. So a good example was the government knew that, the banks knew that they were likely to be protected in the event that they went bankrupt. So the government made a guarantee to back all bank deposits, which basically means if you save money with a bank, they will guarantee the banks will give you back your savings even if they go bankrupt. This may have meant that banks have less incentive to ensure the creditworthiness of their debtors was checked adequately. So basically they were willing to lend money to more people because they know in the event that they didn't pay them back, the bank would still bail them out and help out all the people that had saved with them. So in essence, the banks became too big to fail. So to sum up, the government said, we're going to, if you guys go bankrupt and people can't pay you back, then we're going to pay back all the people that have saved money with you anyway. And that led to the banks taking on more financial risk during that period. Thank you.